Alright guys, so welcome to the third and final edition on HTML coding, and in today we are going to look at a different aspect of HTML elements. The first section we looked at how to create header tag, paragraph, how to break section on the likes of it. Then the second one we looked at how to create link, list, my table, image and link. Then today we'll be looking at different thing, and as usual we are going to create a new file for our third session. Alright, in case you still don't know how to create session, look at the top left corner, click that / there, you click on it, then look at that 3 dots at your folder name, you click on it, then you're going to click on new file to create your third file. And you can name your file anything. All right, you can name it anything. Let me just say something like final session .html. Don't forget the file must end with a .html, so the code editor will know that we are working with HTML. All right, so that I can highlight our code in HTML. Then don't forget how to type the HTML. Then you must not give space in between the dots and HTML. All right, look at the way I typed in everything together. All right, when you're done, you click on OK, and we have our new file ready. All right, and this is the file name, and just scroll to the left here, you see the file name, and this. All right, so what is the first thing we are going to look at today? First thing we are looking at today is how to create input field, which is very important. Input field, like where you want user to enter a text, enter number, or enter anything to collect information from user. All right, so we'll be looking at different type of input fields. First, this is how to type the input. This is how to type the input elements. It's a self-closing tag, and this is how you type it. Okay, let me just close it now and see. Let's preview our browser to see what we just did. Alright guys, so this is the input we just created. Alright, but then let me give it a header name. I could say something like let me just enter something like third session. In your own case, you can enter anything you want. All right, good. Let's see the browser. I can type in anything you want, but then we are not stopping there. We are going to indicate the type of inputs. All right, we want the default input field is text. The default one is text. That's why immediately I clicked on this place. The keyboard is showing us alphabets, meaning we have to enter text here. Alright, but then in the case where you want user to enter something like email, password, a number, or anything, you're going to indicate the type of inputs. Alright, so I say the default type is text, txt. Alright, that is it. Or then you can still indicate the type there. Alright, very important. Then another type you can indicate here is number, meaning the input field expects a number. As you can see guys, our keyboard is showing number, meaning we have to enter number here. And again, if you want the input field, you want user to enter something like phone number, you can type in tel, meaning telephone. And let's preview it and see. Guys, the number and the tel are not the same. They just look alike, but they are not the same. Remember, the telephone has it's just like this Nokia keypad, all right, with a star, hash and plus. But then the number only prompts up number for us to enter. Then another type of input field another type of input field we can indicate is email, meaning this input field requires an email. Then another one is password. Let's review it and see, meaning this one requires a password. Now let's type in something and see. As you can see, it's hiding the character we are typing, meaning the input field knows that that is a password because we indicated it here. Yeah, all right. And again, you are still not going to end there. So assuming I want to enter a password, create a password input field here. Maybe I don't have a label on top of this input field to tell user I want to enter. I can just decide to type it inside the input field, and this is how we do it using a placeholder equals to double quotes. Then in between the double quotes you can enter what you want user to enter. So let me type in something like enter your password. Let's see the outputs. Alright guys, so as you can see inside this input field, it's telling users to enter their password. That's what placeholder does. Alright. So using the input field, let me create a contact from here. First, I'll nest it inside a div and assign a class to it equals to contact. Can you say something like contact from? So you're just saying this for the first time. What is div? Div is the way we classify or we arrange elements of the same section. All right. It's like a container, a box container that contains items of the same section. But this div is very important when it comes to CSS, because right now it's only visible when you style it using CSS. So the div is visible only when we style it using CSS. All right, after this session we go into that properly, but for now we are going to nest our contacts from inside the div. All right, then the class is just like the class is also for the CSS property. All right, but for now we are going to skip that. We go deep into that when we go to CSS, because that's when they are much useful. All right, then remember I say we are creating a contact form. We are still going to nest the contact form inside a form tag. All right, a form tag. Then first I'll label my first inputs, and this is how we type it. We use the label tag, label for equals to name. I'll close it, then I'll enter something like name, then I'll break it here. Then I'll enter the input field for name, and this is how I type it. Input type is text, because user is going to use text when entering their name. Then I'll assign it an ID, an identity equals to name. And identity is also useful when we go deep into CSS and JavaScript. All right, an identity is just like an assignment to a particular tag, and only just one tag should have one particular ID at a time. As for the class can have the same type of class name, like different type of div that can have the same type of contact, can have the same class name, but as for ID, only one tag should have an ID. All right, then I'll specify name for these inputs, which is I'll type in name, then close the tag. What this means is we are linking this label here to these inputs. Let's review the output so you see what I'm talking about, so it's not confusing much. All right, as you can see, this is our label and this is the input type for our label. Now let me click the name. If you click the name, it will focus the it will focus the input element here. All right, remember I didn't click this input, I only clicked on name. So after that, I'm going to break it here. I'll give it a 2-line break actually. Then I'll move to my next label, which I want it to be email. This is how we type it, remember, for email. And close the label email. Then break it so it give it a line space from your input for email. Then I'll enter my input here. I'll indicate the type of input I want user to want, which is the email. Then I'll assign an identity, which is email. Then the name, which is email. I'll close it here. Now let's see the output again at the same. Alright, so as you can see here, we have our email here neatly separated from our email feed here. And if I should go ahead and add another input type, I'll just I'll add a double line break here. So I'll give it a 2-line space from our next input feed. Alright, then maybe my third input feed, I want it to be age, user to enter their age. So this is how I type it for age. I'll close it. Sorry, age. Then break it, so I'll move the input to the next line. Then I'll enter my input tag here, and I'll indicate the type of input I want user to want. Remember, I want user to enter their age, so I'm going to indicate the type to be number. Alright, then I'll assign an identity ID as age. Alright, as age. Then the name equals to age. I'll close it here. Let's see newly created input feed here. As you can see, that is it. Then I'll give it another line break here. So assuming I want my fourth input feed to be a message, like I want user to send in message, I'll go ahead and click a label for that, a label for message. Then I'll indicate it here, message. Come down here, I'll give it a line break. For this message, I will not be using an input type, input element tag here. I'll be using a text area, and this is how we type it, text area. Alright, I will assign it an ID as well, message. Then I'll indicate the name, which is message. Then I'll do something extra here. I'll indicate the rows I want the message to have. Don't worry. So let me say I want 4 rows. I'll enter 4 here. Then the column, COLS, course, I'll enter something like 30. Then I'll simply close it here. I'll close the text area there. Now let's see the output for our label for message. Alright guys, so this is our label for text area message. As you can see, it's not the size of our usual input we have been creating since, and the rows and column indicates how large or wide, or how tall or wide we want our input space to be. From here to here is the rows, while from this place down here, that is the vertical line, is the column. Alright, so let me adjust it, and so you see the output. So if I should reduce this one down to 10 here, you see the length will reduce, sorry, the width, I mean, as you can see it's almost squared. And if I should increase the numbers of rows here, maybe something like 20, you see it, you see it will be tall here. So to keep it modern and professional, you're not going to give it, ensure your rows is smaller than your codes, right? So just say 5 here, and my codes should be 35. Oh, let me just give it at 30. Alright, it's okay like this. It's an input field for name, for email, for age, then our text area for message. So I'll still go ahead and create another label, but before that I'll still give it a 2-line break here, and this is how we type it. Then so the label I'll give to this one is source, and this is what I want to write in between. Then, how did you hear about Benfei Tech? Alright, then I'll make the user to select from a drop down. So we are going to use the select tag, and this is how we type it, select. I'll give it an ID as well, and I'll name it source. Sorry, this is how to type the ID. I'll name it source. Then the name is source. Is source. Then I'll close this select tag here. Now in between the select tag, what am I going to embed in there? I'm going to embed an option for user to choose from them. Then I'll indicate the value for that option. Maybe I'll say something like WhatsApp. Let me see WhatsApp. I'll close it. Then I'll type WhatsApp. I'll enter the second option. I'll type it this way. Value. Maybe this time around I'll enter something like Telegram. Then the text, Telegram. Maybe I'll add the third option. I'll assign it a value. Maybe I'll say something like YouTube here. YouTube. Now let me add the fourth option. I will type in something like, assign it a value like Instagram. Instagram. Then enter this text Instagram. Now let's see the output of this thing. I'll type in super so you won't be confused. Alright, so this is our fifth label here. How did you hear about us? Then as you can see, this small item here indicates that we have to click this thing, something will show. Now let's click it and see. You see what displays, right? Those are the options I nested in between the select tag. And you can choose anyone. If you choose anyone, that's what will show here. That's what will display here. I choose Instagram will show WhatsApp, whatever. Alright, that's that for select. So I'll come down here and give it a 2-line break. So look at another tag here, another input, and the next input I want us to look at here is the checkbox. First, let me add a paragraph to indicate what that particular one means. So I could just decide to ask a question like, which do you enjoy? Which do you enjoy? So we'll enter our input here. our inputs. Then the type for this input is going to be a checkbox. All right, checkbox. Then I'll assign it an ID. I could say something like coding. Then I'll give it a name. I could say something like enjoy, because what I'm talking about is which do you enjoy. Let me just give it that name, enjoy. Then I'll give it a value, coding. Then after that, I'll add a label for this input feed, a label for coding. Then I'll enter the text coding here. What this means is this particular checkbox, input checkbox here, is for this label coding. Let's see the output so you will not be confused. Alright guys, so this is what I just coded. Alright, let me click on this. You can see that's a checkbox. You might have visited a website where you wanted registering for something. Then they say that you should check this box to agree to our terms and condition, blah blah blah. That's the type of input feed they use. They use the checkbox input feed to capture your inputs of agreeing to terms and condition. Alright, so let me go ahead and add 3 more checkbox here. Go ahead and add 3 more checkbox. Alright guys, so I just added 2 more checkbox input feed here. Now let's see how the output looks like, and this is it here. You can check your favorite, like which do you enjoy. You can check anyone you enjoy it and uncheck again. For me, I could say something like I could check both coding and football. Alright, that is that for input feed on checkbox. So another input type I want us to look at here is the radio input type. Before then, we'll give it a 2-line break space here so that our code will not be jam-packed together on the browser. So how do you write the radio? What's the radio? How do you type in the radio inputs? So before then, let me add a paragraph tag here, maybe asking a question. What is your device type? Now let me enter something like that. After that, then I'll enter the inputs. Then I'll indicate the type as radio. It's almost the same way you type in, you code the checkbox input, alright? But this one is radio. Now let me code one line so you see what I'm talking about. So after indicating the type radio here, I'll assign it an ID as well. So maybe this particular input type, maybe I could say something like Android, device type Android. Alright, then give it the name Android, then the value equals to Android. Then we add a label for that, a label for Android. Enter the text Android. Let's see the output so you see. Alright guys, so this is it. This is a radio. It's just like a checkbox, but this one is round. And the difference between, alright, let me add like let me code 2 lines here. So I'll tell you the difference between the checkbox and the radio. Alright, so let me quickly type in that. Alright guys, so I just finished typing in the the radio checkbox, the radio input. So let's figure it on the browser and see. This is it. What is your device type? Android. This is the radio for Android. iPhone. This is the radio for iPhone. This is the radio for laptop. Or let me just break each of them so that they will appear like the way they appear horizontally, vertically, instead of appearing horizontally. So let me quickly do that. I'll break it here. Oh, sorry, I am supposed to assign the same name to all the radios, so I could just enter something like device. Alright, the name device. They all use the same name, just like in the checkbox. Alright, they will all use the same name, device. Alright, so let's see the outputs. As you can see, this is our checkbox and this is our radio. Now let me do something. Let me show you something. You can see I can check all the checkbox here, and I can uncheck them as well. But the case is different with radio input type. If I should go ahead and click this Android, if I should click on this iPhone, the Android would uncheck, and if I should click on laptop, its iPhone will uncheck, meaning you can only select one at a time. Alright, as for this one, you can choose to click all of them or leave it empty, but here you can only choose one, right? So that's the difference between checkbox and radio. You can use checkbox where user have different choices or different choices, and they can choose to pick more than one item. Why you can use the radio one where user can only pick one item at a time. Alright, so that is that for that one. So guys, remember, all of our code is still being nested in between the form and div tag. Alright, so maybe after coding all your inputs or your inputs tag, you want to enter a submit button. You have to create a submit button for user to submit their details. Then let's add a 2-line break here to space it. Then we type in our button tag here. This is how we type a button. Alright, use the button tag. Then you can enter the text here, submit. Let's see the output. Alright, so this is the button we just created, submit. Alright, submit. Then maybe you want to add a footer. So what's footer? A footer is usually the last text you see on the website. The last text you see under a website. Alright, something like, maybe you might have seen something like all rights reserved 2026. This one, you understand? That's what a footer means. Now let me type in something here and so you understand. Let me code in something here so you understand. So we are going to code this one outside our form and div tag. I'll come down here and you're going to wrap it in the footer. Then in between the footer, you enter a p tag, then enter a p tag, then enter this sign, copy, enter a semicolon, then you type in something like the text you want it to appear on the footer. Maybe I could say something like all rights reserved, my first web page. Let's see the outputs. Alright guys, so this is what I'm talking about. Here. Alright, I've seen this thing. You might have seen something like this on the website before. It's almost all the website has it. It has a footer. Alright, so that's how to create a footer. Alright guys, you have done quite a lot today, and let's quickly do a quick recap on that. First, you look at how to create a div. We say a div is like a container that group elements of the same item in one block. All right. Then we decide to create a form which we nested inside the div tag. Then here is our opening form. Then the label, which indicates which indicates the inputs we are to enter. Then some type of inputs which you look at. Then types of inputs like text, email, age, number, message, also password. Then also look at how to create a select using the select and option tag. Then also look at how to create a checkbox and a radio input tag. Then lastly, with a submit button. Then lastly, how to create a footer. Alright guys, so that brings us to the end of this session. We are done with HTML session. Our next video will be moving properly to CSS so that our website won't be looking naked. So our website will be looking naked. We'll be styling it, we'll be clothing it with beautiful clothes. Alright, so that it will look awesome when people visit our website, and we can be confident in sharing our deployed website link to people. Alright, so that is that for today. So guys, as usual, I'll be dropping your assignments on the comment section. Do where to submit them on our assignment group. Alright, see you in CSS.